Hi, I'm Morgan Doremus with RT Book Reviews, and I'm here at New York Comic Con with the unbelievably talented author Diana Gabaldon. And I don't think that there's a reader out there that hasn't read all of the Outlander books and just absolutely adored them.
Well, thanks. I hope that's the case. If not, maybe we can pick up any of the stragglers this weekend.
I like that. Stragglers welcome. You're on book 7, or we've read book 7. You're writing book 8 right now.
Yes.
Every single one of our readers wants to know what's in store for them for book 8.
Well, we will pick up all of the cliffhangers from the end of book 7, for one thing. That book ends the way it does because of the way book 6 ended. And that after that book, everyone wrote to me in droves and said, well, we love the book, but we're so sad the series is over. And I wrote back to them and I said, why do you think it's over? Did I say it was over? Does it say the thrilling conclusion on the paperback? No, why do you think it's over? And they all wrote back and said, but you tied everything up so neatly, we thought it must be over. And I said, we'll see if I do that again. So I didn't. But so book 8 will carry on with the various storylines of Jamie and Claire, of course. They're the heart of the entire series and thus of the next book, but also with Roger and Brianna and their children, Jem and Mandy, and with young Ian and his newfound love, Rachel, and we'll just see what that works out. But also with Lord John and William, who are the fourth leg of our caltrop from book 7.
I was going to say, is there anything in book 8 that's going to surprise your long-term fans? Can you give us maybe one little thing that they're going to kind of step back and be really excited about?
Well, practically everything. Bear in mind that I don't plan a book out ahead of time, therefore I have no idea what's going to happen in most of this book, but I have begun picking up the cliffhangers, and I've been reading short excerpts from those at events and so forth, and the excerpt that I've been reading, which picks up the conversation between Jamie and Lord John that we left off at the end of Echo, that's been surprising people. They roll on the floor when they're in that one.
Well, your first book, The Outlander, that is probably the one romance that everyone can point to and say, no matter what you like to read, you can pick up this book and you can immediately get into this world with Jamie, which is notorious virgin hero, and you've got time travel, you've got a wonderful protagonist with Claire. I don't think there's a woman out there that doesn't look at her and say, I want to be her when I grow up. What is it like to be the author of a series that is so beloved, that has been going on for so many years?
Well, it's fine. I'm really thrilled that people enjoy it so much. I wrote that first book for practice, which means that I put in anything that I liked because no one was ever going to read it. It didn't matter. And I've just sort of continued to do that, so it's nice. I don't write romance per se. I don't write fantasy per se, but so far I've seen my books sold as literature, fiction, historical fiction, historical nonfiction, science fiction, fantasy, romance, mystery, military history, gay and lesbian fiction, and horror. So, something for everyone, believe me.
Well, I like that you said military fiction, because I think no matter where your characters go, they always run into some sort of war. World War II, the Jacobite Rebellion, now we've got the American Revolution. Do you do that on purpose?
The 18th century was a really feisty time. There was a lot of ferment going on there. It would be hard to stay out of a war in the 18th century.
And I was going to say, if you had to go back in time, if you were going to Scotland or America during the early years, what would you miss the most from the 21st century?
Oh, good medical care, especially dentistry.
So Claire would come in handy with her nursing skills.
Yeah, she's not much on teeth, though, other than being able to pull them in a hygienic fashion.
Okay, well, a little bit of shift, because you also are contracted to write some mysteries that we're going to be getting shortly. Is that right? And these are pure mystery, correct?
Well, they're contemporary crime novels, yeah, so they're certainly oriented toward mystery. But as I haven't actually finished the first one, I couldn't tell you what all's going to be in it. I have about half of it, and it's really interesting. And I have a good idea what's going to happen in the next half, so yeah, with luck you'll get it soon. I'm also working on this, the third Lord John novel. It's called Lord John and the Scottish Prisoner, and with luck you'll get that next fall. I hope to finish it in by early spring, which would let them bring it out in the fall. But that one is shaping up well. It's a two-person book with an alternating viewpoint between Lord John Grey and Jamie Fraser, so I'll shift back and forth between the two, so I think people will enjoy that very much.
Well, speaking of shifts in viewpoint, you recently published The Exile, which is the Outlander graphic novel, which is why we're here at Comic-Con right now. And are you finding that you're picking up a lot of new audience for your books by switching into the graphic novel world?
Well, I don't know yet. It's only been out 2 weeks, and I'm happy to say that it has hit #1 on the New York Times list both of those weeks, which is great, but I don't yet know how how far it will spread into the graphic novel comics world. To a certain extent, I imagine, because they'll be shelving it with the graphic novels, and people will be saying, "I'm looking for the Punisher, Iron Man 2. What's this?" So they'll at least look at it for sure.
Well, it's an absolutely beautiful graphic novel, and
Gorgeous, yeah.
I read it and absolutely loved it. And it gives you something a little bit different than what you're going to get from the novel. It's not just a pure adaptation.
Of novel, no. Well, the editor said to me, "I want a new Jamie and Claire story, but set within the parameters of Outlander," and so that's what you get. If you've read Outlander, and I'm kind of assuming most of the people have, you would recognize major events from the story, but there is a completely new storyline weaving through these, which, as the cover says, kind of gives you Jamie's side of the story.
Yeah, and some of those questions you might have from the Outlander, in the Outlander series,
Yes.
you get to see from a different point of view and find out what's really going on.
Exactly. You find out things that Claire didn't see or wasn't aware of or didn't understand at the time.
And speaking of Jamie, I heard we're going to be getting his parents' prequel story.
And some, eventually.
Eventually, come on.
I have several books in my pile. There's book 8 at the top, Scottish Prisoner below that, contemporary crime novel, and The Outlandish Companion, Part 2. Jamie's parents' story is somewhere under that, so I work my way down here. I do work on more than one thing at a time because it keeps me from having writer's block, but even so, the ones at the bottom don't get worked on every day.
I was going to say, if there's any one complaint that we hear about you, it's that you don't write fast enough. They want more. More books, more characters.
Well, they always say leave them wanting more.
Well, excellent. It was so great meeting you and so great talking with you today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.